What's happening, guys? Welcome into another boxing breakdown and prediction show for this weekend's welterweight clash between up-and-coming superstar Vergil Ortiz and former 140-pound champ Maurice Hooker in a real crossroads fight for both men on Saturday. So let's get into it. Mighty Mo Hooker comes into this fight off the back of a tune-up in his last fight after losing his WBO junior welterweight strap to unified 140-pound champ Jose Ramirez, almost 2 years ago in an absolutely electric war. Ramirez put Hooker down early in that first round before Hooker came back and hurt Ramirez with a chopping right hand in the third and some heavy left hand hooks in the fifth before Ramirez then rallied back, came back again with an all-out assault, closing the show in the sixth. And, it was a massive pulsating fight from start to finish. And that power could be a danger here for the big favourite Vergil Ortiz ahead of this one as well. Hooker has an absolutely huge reach advantage over the younger man, upwards of 7.5 inches. And with that chopping right hand that we just mentioned as well, he uses to come over the top. His 67% KO ratio is nothing to be sniffed at ahead of this fight. But look, nonetheless, despite Hooker's experience, and size advantages here, I have to go with the favourite in this one. A lot of people are saying this is Vergil Ortiz's breakout fight and first serious test at welterweight. I disagree. While Hooker might present the most serious challenge to date for the 22-year-old, Ortiz has already shown his talent in dominating solid fighters like Samuel Vargas, Antonio Orozco and Mauricio Herrera already, stopping all of them inside 7 rounds. And look, in a year where we have standout prospects like Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, so on, I honestly have Vergil Ortiz rated at the very top, and I fully expect him to dominate the welterweight division and beyond over the next few years. As at only 22, his skills right now put him in the very elite bracket of the sport. Is this a serious test for Ortiz? Most definitely. But it shows the level of where Vergil Ortiz is at right now, taking on a dangerous former champ like Mo Hooker in just his 17th pro fight. And his fast tracking is a real warning sign to the rest of the division to take notice here. No one has lost the distance against Ortiz to date. And to be honest, no one has even come close, as he's been so effective in getting guys out of there with his relentless marauding style. And fighters can't even look to back him up either in order to gain an advantage, pushing him on the back foot. Orozco tried that early in their fight, and Ortiz picked him off from the outside before coming inside and finishing the show in the sixth. Hooker is no doubt a quality fighter, no one's saying otherwise, but Ortiz is the future to me. And while I expect fireworks in this one, and for Hooker to find some limited success, I think similar to Ramirez, at some point Ortiz's punching power will take over in this one, and he'll get Hooker out of there. Minus 1,400 is an absolutely phenomenal price to be laying out right in the 22-year-old to beat a former champ. So it's an unbettable, pick at the current line. But the bet that appeals to me the most here is Ortiz rounds 5 to 8 at plus 175. All 3 of his most recent opponents have fell within that distance. And despite Hooker arguably being a level above those, his come forward style makes it difficult for me to see this one going past 8 rounds here. So take Vergil Ortiz rounds 5 to 8 at plus 175 on Saturday as your free play for this weekend's action. In other fights happening this weekend, I really like the value on Krzysztof Glowacki over Lawrence Okolie as well over in the UK. Okolie, despite being undefeated, has been in there with no one as technically seasoned as Glowacki. And at a plus 275, that looks an absolutely massive price to the Polish fighter to get his hand raised here. That'll wrap things up for this edition of the Boxing Prediction Show. As always, leave us your thoughts. And you can also catch me over on Twitter at the SportsWolf83 and at my handicapper page, Kevin Dolan, over at WagerTalk. We'll be back next week with a breakdown of Dillian White's highly anticipated rematch with Alexander Povetkin next weekend. So stay tuned for that. As always, until then, thanks for listening. Slán